Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Did you know that Roblox has its own virtual university known as Roblox University? This initiative provides educational resources, including a series of YouTube videos aimed at teaching you how to build games and various elements within the Roblox platform. So if you're interested in game design, you can learn how to develop right on Roblox. Welcome everybody, I'm Brady, and today we're going to explore the fascinating world of game design. Specifically, we'll uncover the clever techniques game designers use to keep our eyes glued to our screens. Before I get started, I would like to thank Billy Wilson, for the union leader, for inviting me down. I was honored to speak last year, and he invited me back again this year, so it was nice to be able to come and share my story again. I'd like to thank the team here at Wicked Stem Expo, Joyce for introducing me, as well as the sponsors and all the exhibitors here at the show today. It's really nice that everybody's able to come and celebrate STEM in the state of New Hampshire. We're really excited about the work that's being done and really excited about a lot of the companies that are out there. I'd also like to thank my family. My daughter Willow's here today. I also have 4 other kids. They're all over the place, and they actually influence a lot of the work that I do in terms of game design. So it's nice that they support me in my work. My wife is a professor of psychology at St. Anselm College, and she also does work. She has a lab there that does work that helps design games, board games, video games. It uses game theories in order to help people in various fields, and so we kind of are a gaming family in a lot of ways, more than one. So I would also very much like to thank you coming here to see me speak. I'd like to thank all the attendees that are out there visiting the booths, as well as you here to hear me speak. Once again, my name is Brady. I'm the founder and CEO of Inciting Incident game company based here in the state of New Hampshire. We're in Manchester in the Mill Yard. I have over 30 years of experience working in high tech, mostly in sales and business development. I've done some strategy work and a little bit of marketing. I moved to New Hampshire in 1989 to attend Southern New Hampshire University, back when it was called New Hampshire College. That's the same place that I returned to 30 years later to run their innovative game studio in 2019. I left there after 4 years in order to found Inciting Incident in 2023, and I've been operating rather stealthily ever since. So we've been operating for about a year now. In July of 2007, Mad Men premiered on cable network AMC. The series followed the lives of advertising industry employees in the fictional firm of Sterling Cooper. We follow the story arc of brilliant creative director Donald Draper from the first scene, where late at night in a Manhattan bar, he's working on a tobacco campaign, to the series finale where we, spoiler alert, discover the inspiration for an iconic 1971 Hilltop Coca-Cola television ad. The timeline runs from the late 50s into the 1970s. I want to focus on the first scene in the pilot episode because it introduces us to Mr. Draper, a confident, cool, mid-30s gentleman talking to a busboy, an older black gentleman, about the brand of cigarettes he smokes. Don was doing market research. In February of this year, I was driving my vehicle listening to NPR. A show was on the air called Code Switch, which you can listen to as a podcast. The topic of the podcast was why menthol cigarettes have a chokehold on black smokers. There's going to be a point to all of this, so please bear with me. The host and guests went into a deep dive discussion of how the tobacco industry used marketing tactics and various ways of promoting menthol cigarettes, specifically to a black audience in the 1960s and 70s. It was a really fascinating topic. They even used a short segment clip from the Dave Chappelle Show. Dave Chappelle Show was a sketch comedy show in the early 2000s. The clip had Dave Chappelle, who was doing a sketch as a game show host for a fake game show called I Know Black People. The setup was Dave had a series of contestants on who claimed they know black people. They would ask questions about black people or the black community and would give points for correct answers. And so it's a fascinating sort of snapshot in the time because they didn't have comedians or actors like you see on Saturday Night Live when they do the game show sketches. These were real people. And so he would ask questions like, what is a badonkadonk? And they would struggle to figure out the answer, or they would guess the answer. But the clips I played on this podcast was Dave Chappelle asking the contestants, why do black people love menthol cigarettes? And inevitably, the contestants would think and struggle with their answers and say to themselves, I don't know. And without skipping a beat, Dave would jump in and say, correct, and the bell would ding. The point was to share the nefarious and calculated way the tobacco industry marketed their products to a specific community. It was very clever targeting. I'm going to show you this because I did a Google search on old menthol advertising, and I just grabbed these 3 photos because you can kind of get a sense of the time. You know, we talked about Don Draper doing his research in a bar in Manhattan, but then we look at these magazine and billboard ads from the 70s, and you're seeing people outside looking cool, having, you know, the most ideal situation. So as a young kid growing up in the inner city, this is what you would see when you go down to the corner store. You would see it on the bus, you see it on billboards, and you'd see it advertised all over the place. And this is sort of an inception of influence that creates sort of the desire to do something that you may not necessarily think you're interested in doing. And so this is sort of part of the conversation because I want to talk a little bit about certain industries because I have a fascination about industries that tend to be recession-proof. These are things that people get drawn to whether times are good or times are bad. And I've spent a lot of time talking about the tobacco industry. I'm going to talk a little bit about casinos because they fascinate me a lot more than anything else because casinos employ a variety of psychological tricks to keep you playing. There are no clocks or windows when you go into casinos. They're designed specifically as a maze to keep you confused. There's a lot of psychological tactics that are used in gameplay, a lot of near misses, so that you almost win, and almost win gives you a little bit of encouragement. They use chips instead of cash. That reduces your awareness of how much you're spending. And any sort of reward programs that they have, their loyalty programs are designed in order to keep you having a sense of accomplishment, whether you're winning cash or not. They're also, I mean, if you're a big fan of casinos, you will also know that all of the casino games, the slot machines, are designed with a variable ratio reinforcement, which is unpredictable wins. You don't know when you're going to win. There's no pattern to the process. And so it definitely keeps you sort of involved in the game. Another industry that I thought was really interesting, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it and then we'll go into the game conversation, is the pharmaceutical industry because the first indication of influence on the pharmaceutical industry is back in the 1960s. Alka-Seltzer was facing a decline in usage. People weren't buying their Alka-Seltzer anymore. And so when they did a little research, they recognized that using 2 tablets instead of 1 provided more effective relief than what they were seeing before. And so they came up with a great little jingle, and some of you might remember it. Plop, pop, fizz, fizz, oh, what a relief it is. That, they didn't say use 2 tablets. They just basically said pop, pop. And that alone triggered people to use 2 tablets. And it, as a result, doubled the sales of Alka-Seltzer at the time. And it's still a product that people use today. In 2023, the global advertising spending reached approximately $733 billion, and the pharmaceutical sector accounts for approximately 70% of global spending on market research. These companies are doing the research. They've done the research. They know about you. They know what you like, and they know how to influence your behavior. They use psychology. And game developers also rely on several key principles to create engaging experiences. Player motivation, understanding what drives players to start and continue playing. Feedback loops, providing constant feedback to players about their actions and progress. Balance, ensuring that the game is challenging but not frustrating, and this is something that we see a lot in a lot of the games that we play, as well as pacing, controlling the flow of information and challenges to maintain interest. And the most important are psychological triggers, using human psychology to encourage continued play. Games also design utilizing a very strong reward system. This is a critical aspect of game design that keeps players coming back. There are several types of rewards. Experience points, or XP, as in leveling up. Game currency and loot, achievements and badges, as well as unlockable content. Of course, there's always the option to purchase rewards, which is really how a lot of many games monetize. A lot of times if you're struggling on a game, you can purchase rewards, which sometimes will advance you just a little bit to get you over a hump. There are social elements to game design, like leaderboards. They appeal to our natural competitiveness and fuel our need to improve our performance and score. Social elements also include cooperative competitive play. Teams, guilds, clans, community are all elements that tap into our social needs. Plenty of games have also created a digital economy to allow for trading and gifting of game elements. I have a nephew who actually has a little bit of a side business creating and selling content in games. Pokemon Go is a prime example of a game that uses social elements and encourages real-world interaction by placing Pokestops and gyms at physical locations, getting players to meet face-to-face. Community Days are monthly events that bring players together in public spaces. Team-based competition for gym control creates a sense of belonging and ongoing rivalries. Raid battles require players to cooperate, often leading to formation of local player groups. The trading system is particularly clever. Some Pokemon can only evolve when traded, which necessitates player interaction. These social elements don't just make the game more fun, they make it sticky. Players will keep playing when their friends are still active or when they feel a sense of responsibility. Progressive difficulty. Celeste is an indie platformer. In Celeste, each chapter introduces new mechanics, gradually allowing players to learn and adapt. The difficulty increases both within each chapter and across the game. Celeste also includes optional challenges. Strawberries are collectibles that are harder to reach, giving skilled players an even extra goal. For those craving even more challenges, there are B-side and C-side levels that offer extreme difficulty. What's particularly innovative about Celeste is its assist mode. This allows players to customize the difficulty, making the game accessible to a wide range of skilled players. Players can adjust game speed, extra dashes, or even become invincible. Finally, Celeste reduces frustration through a quick respawn after death. This encourages players to experiment and learn from their mistakes without feeling overly punished. This careful balance of challenge and accessibility is what makes Celeste engaging for both casual and expert players. This example demonstrates how progressive difficulty can implement to keep a wide range of players engaged from beginner to expert. Narrative and immersion. This is creating a compelling story and character, world building, environmental story playing, player choice and consequences, and also the utilization of atmospheric elements like music, sound design, and visual. A compelling story and immersive world can make players feel like they're part of something larger, encouraging them to keep playing to see how events unfold. Let's look at The Last of Us as a prime example of narrative and immersion in game design. The game's core is the evolving relationship between Joel and Ellie, two complex characters navigating a dangerous post-apocalyptic world. As players, we become deeply interested in their journey and growth. The world building in The Last of Us is exceptional. The setting is rich with detail, and the game uses environmental storytelling, things like scattered notes or graffiti on the walls, to flesh out the world without interrupting gameplay. The game creates emotional encouragement through high-stakes situations and meaningful character development. Players feel the weight of their decisions and the impact of losses, which keeps them emotionally invested in the story. The Last of Us integrates its narrative seamlessly with gameplay. The story unfolds not just in cutscenes, but through player-controlled moments. Even the survival mechanics, like scavenging for supplies, reinforce the desperate atmosphere of the game world. Narrative and immersion can create a deeply engaging experience that keeps players coming back, even in a single-player game. HBO adapted the game into a series, working the game development studio to accurately recreate the emotional experience of the film. Dopamine, how the reward system works. Variable ratio reinforcement schedule, like slot machines. Immediate versus delayed gratification, progression systems, and social recognition. Reward systems are the backbone of player engagement. They tap into our brain's dopamine system, creating a sense of accomplishment and progress. For example, the popular game Fortnite uses a battle pass system that rewards players for playing regularly with new cosmetic items. At each level, this creates a strong incentive to log in daily and complete challenges. Candy Crush uses daily rewards to encourage daily app use. Levels unlock regularly, and the live systems give you a limited number of attempts, creating a sense of urgency. Since they regenerate over time, you are left always wanting to play more. Sounds and flourishes are sensory elements that trigger dopamine as well. I want to talk a little bit about social media as well. One of the things that you're starting to notice is that social media is starting to utilize some of these same tools as well. Social media platforms like Snapchat and TikTok utilize a lot of these elements in order to get you to connect, stay on as long as possible, and they try to keep you engaged in their tools as well. I want to talk a little bit about Fortnite. Fortnite's Battle Royale mode distinguishes itself from other games in the genre through several unique gameplay mechanics and features. Fortnite is unique with its building mechanics. It's one of the most distinctive features of Fortnite in its building system, which allows players to construct structures such as walls, ramps. Players construct these structures in order to create cover for their play and gain a tactical advantage over opponents in real time. It's not really commonly found in other battle royale types games. Fortnite is also a unique game in the sense that it's cross-platform. It was one of the first games to offer cross-platform across all major gaming platforms, whether it's PC, console, the Nintendo Switch, Sony PlayStation, as well as mobile games. Fortnite also is one of the unique game platforms that uses seasons, frequently updates their game, and actually utilizes events within the game in order to create a sense of community like no other. Another thing that I like about Fortnite, which makes it unique, is their unique visual style, which is a little bit more cartoonish. The graphics are set in a different world. It's a lot less than the more realistic aspects of some of the battle royale type games like PUBG. The visual style and appeal of Fortnite is designed for a wider audience, and in fact, it has attracted a lot of younger players, and it also is designed to keep the attention of older players. So a lot of the players of Fortnite who started playing years ago when it first came out are still active players and still continue to utilize Fortnite in their game arsenal as well. These elements combine to make Fortnite's Battle Royale mode not only unique but also incredibly popular. It's making it a cultural phenomenon around the world. So, while these techniques are incredibly effective at keeping players engaged, it's important to consider the ethical implications of their use. When games are designed to be as engaging as possible, some players may find it difficult to stop playing, leading to excessive screen time. Monetization can sometimes cross ethical lines. Loot boxes have actually been compared to gambling due to their random nature and the real money involved. I don't know if there's a parent who hasn't had an issue with overspending on loot boxes when they have a youngster who's relying on them to help them with some of these games. Another concern is data collection. Many games collect user data. It helps them improve the engagement. It helps them improve the game. But this raises a lot of questions, and especially in today's world, around privacy, how the information is used, and how it may be potentially shared. There's also a broader concern about the impact of prolonged gaming on mental health. We don't really know what the future impact of, heavy gaming and these tools can have on a person's mental health. There's a concern in the industry about social isolation and sleep deprivation. We know that there are health implications that are still unknown as well. So, as a game designer, we actually are looking at trying to come up with sort of guardrails around these things and really thinking about the ethical impact of it. Game designers use a variety of sophisticated techniques to keep them engaged. Reward systems tap into our love of achievement. Social elements leverage our need for connective, progressive difficulty keeps us in a state of flow, while narrative and immersion pulls us into rich and compelling worlds. Those are the factors that really bring these tools into play, and those are the tools that make gaming more engaging. These techniques are incredibly powerful, which is why we as players and consumers need to be aware of them. Game design is both an art and a science with the potential to create experiences that are not just entertaining, but very meaningful and possibly life-changing. Looking into the future, we can expect these engagement techniques to become even more refined as possible. With the help of AI and big data, with the help of virtual and augmented reality, these tools may open up entirely new avenues for emerging and social interactions in games. I'm looking forward to the future of how we engage in games. The excitement and opportunities of the gaming industry is continuing to impress me. I'm just hoping that we continue to be careful about how these tools are used so safety and the concern of the consumer and the users are always taken into account. Thank you very much. Any questions? Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of the Wicked Stem Expo. We're excited to have you as a part of this event, and I'll be around if you have any questions about the game industry, if you have any questions about specific games, or if you just want to chat. Thank you very much.